Round Robin. Today's matchup, X6-Gaming, Runaway.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Apex Overwatch Season 3. This is Game 2 of the night, and it's Runaway taking on X6. Both of these teams, a few question marks, Papa Smithy. However, Runaway are looking a lot better after their second match.
And it's our second match of the day, and that means it's another match with playoffs implications. Of course, if you didn't join us for our first set, Rogue was eliminated from OGN Apex Season 3 after going down to Lunatic High 3-0. And now we come into two teams that were routinely beat by Afrika Blue and now find themselves in a spot to qualify. Both X6-Gaming and Runaway can qualify for the next stage of the tournament if they are to win here today.
In fact, the bottom of the table for Group B is actually very, very close. So that battle for second is certainly on for everyone. And as you mentioned, of course, Group A already actually decided as it's going to be Kongdu Panthera in that second position, and Lunatic High have taken that group by storm. So moving out to 9 points now means that there is no way that Kongdu Panthera can actually top them.
And it'll be very interesting to see, because it feels like both Runaway and X6-Gaming are kind of stuck in second gear, I guess, is the analogy I'm going to use. Runaway, of course, runners-up of last season. Famously, Runner did in the pre-season interview talk about lowering expectations. A lot of their players were on holiday between the seasons. They came in out of sorts. Of course, latest news, if you guys didn't know it, you might want to sit down if you're a Runaway fan and you haven't been checking the internet recently, because Kaiser has now left the team. He's gone over to Cloud9 in North America, so it is going to be the roster that we've seen so far. Kaiser only played one map of Apex Season 3 when he was subbed in the first time around, but Runaway looked a lot better against Kongdo Onsia, but a lot better after their 3-0 was a 3-2 over the team that is very likely to be fourth in this tournament. And now you have X6, who came in with a lot of hype. We kind of compared them to Meta Athena. Like this was the team that could have been a Royal Rotor. They had a lot of hype in Challenger, winning the Challenger season, getting in at the first time of asking. But if you think back, we cast them in the qualification tournament. They looked good, but they didn't look great. They didn't match the hype. And that's kind of where you'd put them. I mean, their loss to Afrika Blue, it was a lot of one-note pushes, not really coming up with the innovation needed. So both these teams, big question marks, but it doesn't matter. If they can win here, they're through to the next round.
Yeah, and I think like innovation is exactly the right word for what is necessary from both of these teams, especially X6. I mean, there was that Temple of Anubis, Papa Smithy, we need to mention it, where it was just down the left side. Just run it down the left side the whole time, and they just got held. They didn't have anything else. They didn't have any innovation, any other option. And it was just, honestly, it was terrifying to watch. It was like, how have you not figured out that this isn't working and changed and
but
done
given that
else?
both teams, I guess you have a little bit more explanation for Runaway, given roster problems. And, and like you could talk about
used to the
you could talk about a a hangover effect for them, as they were on the first day, and clearly they didn't have the practice ready to stand up to Afrika Blue. X6, it was their second match, and they got run over as well. So both teams coming in with a 3-0 loss to Afrika Blue as a big question mark, but both teams also having a match win. So, again, we really will find out who is the contender team here, because Afrika Blue, they're going to be first.
Yeah, they most certainly are. Of course, not dropping a map at all. It is just done and dusted as far as Afrika Blue are concerned. But Runaway are the team that are looking on the rise. X6, honestly, look like things are going downhill.
Recency bias, though. I mean, X6 won their first match. Runaway won their second match. So we remember the match against Afrika Blue, where you were like, okay, I guess my hype levels for X6 have gone down. But I feel like we can kind of throw away the past. They are in that win one match, go through chances. We see the X6 fans and BB, or Bebe, I guess we should say, being cheered for there. And they still do have a good fan group. I was struck by that when we saw in the qualifier tournament. Obviously, a lot of those teams unheralded, so not a lot of fans coming to the live event, but there were X6 fans at every time of asking, which lets you know there's something about this team.
Yeah, well, it does just show that, word has got out that this team certainly does have some hype around it, and they were taking the challenger scene by storm so incredibly effectively. But I just want to know what has gone wrong as far as not being able to provide that innovation that Season 3 honestly demands of almost every single team. I mean, it's not just let's run multiple tanks, let's not just run a dive composition like the end of Season 2. It's you have to have all of the strategies for the maps.
But again, you have to remember that their success was in Season 2 where it was a pretty one-note meta.
Exactly,
For the longest time, it was the triple tank. Then there was just a little bit of the dive towards the end of the season. So it's a new ball game in many ways in Season 3 where so many players have gone from one-note Diva players, one-note Zarya players into new heroes, like, for example, the Soldier we saw from Zunba and the other options. But you look at X6-Gaming. Gilly's a Lucio, that part's fine. Choyubin, he was Diva only before. He's Diva 91% of the time now. No smites Winston. Godspeed's been the most interesting one because he kind of is subscribing to this theory that Genji is no longer a viable pick, or at least is much harder to run than he was in the past, with Zarya going away, with Ana going away. He's only played 10% Genji when that used to be his dominant pick in previous seasons. He's been on the Soldier. And then the team comp kind of looks very standard across the board. And if you bring standard against Apex-level teams, it's different than bringing standard against Challenger-level teams.
And I find it so interesting that you bring up the Genji there as well, because Huxal, with the removal of Kaiser, he's been the one playing the Winston. So we haven't been seeing as much of the Genji coming out of Runaway either. And we'll see whether we are going to have a whole lot of Genji-less compositions, because, I mean, we just saw Who Are You? He was going off on the Genji. Things were still fantastic as far as, that Ninja is concerned in the Lunatic High Camp. However, it might be a very different story when we look at what was once a pretty much Genji-only player in Huxal challenging for that top spot.
And Winston's kind of the hero everyone's talking about. There was a great translated post on competitive Overwatch about basically all the coaches agreeing that Winston's the most important hero in the meta, and I'm sure some people would disagree, but the focus on him being a soul tank in many lineups, being able to occupy space and peel, triple DPS being common, and guess what? Tesla coding, the damage it does, the cleave it does, is going to pick up kills rather than in previous seasons where you dived in on Winston and Roadhog was getting healed up by Ana and the triple tank was getting tickled by the Winston. It's a different proposition for the Winston. So the fact that he can do so many things, he can get some burst in, control space, but also pick up kills. Now they put Huxal on Winston. His positioning, his team fight sense on the Genji was one of the reasons that it was very much Huxal, Who Are You, and the field when it came to Genji. So far, his Winston has been good, but it's kind of hard to have that same level of imagination with Winston, who just doesn't have just as many dashes, to be around a fight.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And you look at NoSmite, he's been playing almost predominantly Winston for a very long time now. And is it sort of too much to expect from Huxal to be that top-level Winston player? And you mentioned how incredibly important he is. Do you need to have a legacy Winston? Do you need to have someone with that much experience in order to play it? Or is it about the mechanical skill? Because we know that Huxal, incredible at these sort of very close-range characters like the Genji, I feel like it's natural to be able to switch over to something like a Winston, even though you're playing more frontline rather than diving in and getting the damage. So it's an interesting question to ask.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Huxal will define his legacy, honestly, because I think he will play predominantly Winston, but there still will be some Genji. There still will be some flexes. And then you look at Mirage, who's the benefactor of Huxal jumping onto the Winston, because now Mirage can play his heroes. And first time out, Mirage didn't look great. Looked a lot better in the last series against Uncia, specifically clutching it on Farah and some of the later maps. So Mirage is the benefactor from Huxal, taking one for the team and playing the Winston. And will he be Miro today? Maybe not. But if he can, reimagine himself as a Winston player and at least be on one of the high-tier Winstons, he's doing what his team needs, which honestly is the most important thing.
Yeah, we'll see who can draw first blood as well. I believe we do have a slight technical issue in the booth, ladies and gentlemen. A headset problem to start things off, which is why you're seeing us a whole lot more than the
time for the
overtalk,
baby.
Yeah, it's overtalk most certainly coming at you pretty hard. But I mean, that's okay, because this is one of those matchups that is interesting with the amount of changes and the amount of adaptation necessary. As we're checking out Godsby right here, and he's one of the players that has had to adapt. Now sort of predominantly playing Soldier as opposed to what was the Genji.
Yeah, I mean, just the flexibility of X6 is kind of still unknown. I watched some of their games in Challenger, but they were playing pretty much standard stuff, and now we've seen teams who play standard stuff be found out. Even the kings of standard, Lunatic High, showed us in their last map against Rogue that they have a new opportunities and new flexes that just weren't there in previous seasons. They were just a team that would staunchly stick to, this is the plan, this is what we practice, this is what's winning some scrims, let's run it. And then we were seeing Jaehong playing Widowmaker and Who Are You of all, jumping onto Tracer, which, you know, Tracer and Genji obviously overlapping skill sets in some ways, and it's being a mosquito and being annoying. Every support main knows, you guys know. But showing that is what is separating them from other teams. So really interesting game to track. I think Mirage's development is going to be, it needed to be so fast-tracked, right?
Yeah.
From the start, they were like, okay, he's going to play the DPS, Huxal's going to flex, Kaiser is clearly only temporarily in our plans, and obviously no longer in their plans, Kaiser no longer on the team. Now it kind of needs to be on Mirage to really be a dual threat, because it was Huxal and Stitch, and Stitch is still there, 97% Tracer, sticking with what worked and has looked good, but he needs that duo partner, because it was the skill of their DPS duo, and Kaiser, of course, just being a beast on Reinhardt, that was what carried Runaway to finals last season.
Yeah, unfortunately wasn't able to carry them through that third game for that potential 3-0 victory against Lunatic High in that final, but it was super hyped to get that reverse sweep irrespective. And you did mention Stitch just briefly, because the Tracer battle is a huge one here, because Timeboy, of course, is in the 90% on the Tracer as well, and we didn't see that in our previous series. Eska sort of flexing away from the Tracer, as we are going to have the player video, so let's hear it from them.
약간 좀 무력할 수밖에 없는 경기였습니다.
아프리카 플렉스 블루가 너무 강했어요.
저희 역량을 제대로 보여드리지 못한 것 같아서 아쉽습니다. 몇 퍼센트 정도 했냐고 하면 40%? 이번 경기로 비록 1승 1패가 됐지만 저희에겐 러너웨이가 있지 않습니까? 최근에 리빌딩이 있었다 보니까 포지션 합의가 제대로 이루어지지 않았던 것 같습니다.
저희가 운시아전 경기를 치르기 전까지 메타에 적응도 못하고 힘든 상황이 진짜 많았는데 경기 치르기 전 3일 전 이 조합과 멤버를 해봤는데 엄청 잘 되더라고요. 스크림 성적도 너무 좋고
치열한 장기전 끝에 다시 한번 드라마의 주인공이 됐습니다, 러너웨이.
당분간 이 멤버로 계속 연습을 할 것 같습니다. 최혁인 선수의 디바만 잘 터트리지면 그 팀도 쉽게 깨지지 않을까라고 생각은 해요. 거기는 윈스턴 디바인데 저희는 라인하르트 윈스턴이니까 방벽이 두 개 있는 것이 차이가 매우 크거든요.
저희 팀에는 학살이나 후활력 같은 겐지에 뛰어난 선수가 없다 보니까 걱정은 되지만 오버워치는 6대6 게임 아니겠습니까? 트레이서를 주축으로 한 돌격 조합이 강하다고 생각하니까 그걸로 커버할 수 있다고 생각합니다.
타임보이의 선수 트레이서 에임도 좋고 트레이서의 활용도도 좋은데 그건 저희 스티치 선수의 평소 일상이기 때문에 아직은 미달이라고 생각합니다. 지금 상황으로 봤을 때는 아프리카 블루가 1등이기 때문에 2위전이 아마 치열할 거라고 생각해요. 저희 팀이 스타일이 진짜 너무 똑같아서 3대2 아프리카랑 같이 8강으로 가겠습니다.
이겨야죠. 3대 빵. 러너웨이 결승전도 가봤으니까 이제 거품 한번 빠져야 되지 않겠습니까?
That is one of the first times I've seen a 3-2 prediction in favor of a team. This is not necessarily the confidence we're looking for out of Runaway, but the 3-0 coming out from X6, Papa's Movie, that's important.
I mean, there's confidence and there's conservatism, and interesting to hear Bumper, be brutally honest and say, well, we kind of got everything and gelled everything that we used to beat Kongdo Ansia 3 days before, and it seems like a lot of the moves and genesis of this new Runaway lineup was late in the picture. That was, of course, when Kaiser left the team to move over to Cloud9, but on the side of X6-Gaming, Timeboy called out by Bumper as just being Stitch on an average day when he had his big game and got the triple kill we saw on Lijiang Tower. Now, Stitch is a great tracer, don't get me wrong,
he's fantastic,
but
yes.
Timeboy has some moments, but I think Godspeed's the one kind of under the microscope. He's been changing his identity. We'll see if he can pop off on the Soldier like he did on the Genji quite a few times, both in the promotions and certainly in Challenger.
Yeah, largely in the promotions, actually, Godspeed was the player holding X6 together, especially in that DPS role, with Timeboy being that very solid tracer, but not necessarily being anything overly exciting.
I mean, he's had his moments, honestly, Tracer, especially taking down Lunatic High.
Yeah.
In a previous tournament was one of his career highlights and was one of the things that gave people a lot of hype for X6 because they took out Lunatic High. Not in Apex, of course, but any win over Lunatic High makes the news.
Yep, doesn't quite matter where you do it as long as you do it. Of course, that was part of the hype of the Lunatic High Runaway series, but, sorry, the Lunatic High Rogue series. It wasn't to be the case in the end, as Lunatic High have made it through to the round of 8. Now to see who is going to be joining a Freak of Freaks Blue from Group B. Will it be Runaway or will it be X6? Now seeing Runaway here on your screen right now, Huxal, it makes me sad that he's away from the Genji at the moment, Papa Smithy. I'm not going to lie to you.
They still have game breakers, though. Specifically, Stitch is definitely one of the best tracers in Korea.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any of Kalios. Still is available to sub in, but they've been sticking largely with Mirage as a starter, and Kaiser no longer in the shot. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, it feels super bad, but I feel like we probably shouldn't be harping on about it because it's done. It's over. C9 Kaiser now.
You can't just rip off the Band-Aid, Atlas.
You can. That is the best way to do the Band-Aid.
But it's painful.
Have you ever done a Band-Aid?
It's painful.
It's more painful for longer if you do it slowly.
I like to let things simmer, Atlas.
I know, it's just one hair at a time
I'm
right
a
now
simmerer.
from your arm, you know? A simmerer.
That's right. I'm a dog, apparently, as
You
well.
actually just simmered the end of the word simmer. That is pretty good.
But Runaway, again, this is a new team. It isn't the team from Season 2 finals. Kaiser not there. Huxal changing identity. We're still learning about their ceiling, even their floor, honestly. We don't know how good or how poor on a match day Runaway can play because all the old data points, it feels like basically every historical match for Runaway short of their last match isn't really representative of the team we see today.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I want to hark back to what the players were saying when they were talking about these two teams being relatively similar, and most certainly when it comes to the most played heroes for the DPS, is indeed the case.
I just want to see some Pharah. No Pharah at all during our first series.
Yeah.
Not surprising, given that neither Eska nor AKM prefers to play that hero, but Godsby and Mirage have both played it this season. I think it was the most impressive of Mirage's heroes, specifically on Numbani. Did some great work.
Might be the map picks as well dictating whether or not we are going to get any of those Pharah-based compositions.
Huxal not on the same screen as Stitch. It's a different world.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation we find ourselves in, Papa Smithy. One that honestly disappoints me quite a lot. But Bumper's going to try and answer the very diva-focused play of Choyobin.
Will we see him jump onto the Reinhardt? No, it's a possibility. They mentioned in the video that there was potential for both Reinhardt and Winston, which feels like it's an outdated strategy in this current meta. But always a chance. We've definitely seen teams talk about being triple tank only and then play triple DPS, so what they say in interviews in the right light. Don't necessarily think too much about it. Runner finally showed some great Mercy play in specifically Volskaya, I believe it was.
Yeah.
While previously, when he flexed away from Lucio, he looked like a liability. Had been looking better on the Mercy, which is good to see.
We also saw some pretty incredible double boops coming out from his Lucio play on Volskaya as well.
I think what you guys really need to take away is it's really hard to track who the favorite is for this map. You want to say Runaway because of their history, because they still have some fantastic players in their own right, but it really is a close one between Runaway and X6-Gaming.
And we just don't really know because those big losses have been against an Freak of Freaks Blue, which is almost impossible to predict at this particular stage because whose level are they on when they can dominate their group so incredibly well?
in the round of 8. That's going to be the question because the Freak of Blue looking peerless, not dropping a map, but their opposition so far has kind of rolled over and died.
They have looked wanting, most certainly, Papa Smithy, but our first map is going to be Oasis.
Pharmacy, baby.
Control. Yeah, this is an opportunity, Papa Smithy. Still, I mean, University one that we don't see as much Pharah on. However, the other two, we are going to have some opportunities. See exactly what is going to happen. But I'm excited. I want the Time Boy versus Stitch battle. I want to see Huxal really get into this Winston
Well,
role.
the Overtalk is dead. It's time for the Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's do it. Let's get onto Oasis.
We didn't get it. Oh, we did get it. Just about.
Yeah, we almost...
I feel like they need to keep re-recording I get it, because that was almost a whisper, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
Spectacular.
But getting it is what X6 and
Do you
Runaway.
say begetting it?
No,
Papa
getting
Smithy,
it.
too soon.
No.
Too soon.
Getting it is what both these teams are focused on. This is must-win for X6 and Runaway. I don't know if I'm ready for Rogue and Runaway to be eliminated on the same match day and not be in the round of 8, but that's a reality we may very well live in.
That does just show the volatility of Overwatch in its infancy, Papa Smithy. Very exciting. And X6, a promising team, but neither of these teams really proving themselves against a Freak of Freaks. And then the rest of it was a bit of a rollover when it came to Kongdu Unseo, who were not looking like the controlled team that we come to expect.
Well, we finally get some fire. It will be Mirage and Runner opening up on the pharmacy. That means Cox has to flex onto the Lucio. He's certainly been one of the most flexible players in the whole league when it comes to different picks.
Oh, Mirage already actually just getting over this barrier and jumping straight inside.
Getting in very close proximity here.
Timeboy getting the first little pick. X6 are able to get a fair bit done. Mech's going to fall down as well, but Mirage answering. Concussive Grenade also doing a bunch of work, just breaking apart X6. And despite their picks, oh, I take it all back. Mirage is going to be taken down at X6. That's 3 quick ones.
Yeah, misplay from Mirage. He was in a great spot because Soldier was dead, the only hero that really has a shot at taking down the Pharah, but too close proximity taken out, and Timeboy's just lapping up the kills left, right, and center.
A little bit of an unfortunate pulse bomb, however, made up for by Godsby and his Helix rocket placement.
Felt like Mirage could take over that situation, but him dying really started the cavalcade towards the way of X6, so they get first capture. They also have support ultimate up, so Barrage, which is always of questionable value, is going to be particularly low here.
Very close to getting that self-destruct as well, as Cherubin does finally grab that. And Godsby close as well, so 4 ultimates for this push from Runaway.
See if Runaway can bait them into a big res. Runner has that available.
Yeah, got a rocket barrage there as well.
Nice
2
picks.
quick picks, actually. Godsby and Bebe falling down. There's the rocket barrage. The barrier was eaten as, oh, it was a decent defense matrix, and that's going to be enough to spell the death of Mirage. Nicely done. Choyobin, I mean, you have to talk about his diva whenever you see him on the map because he's so incredibly practiced.
Yeah, Runner came in late but wasn't actually able to use res. Couldn't get any respawns. They invest the sound barrier, but they still haven't flipped the point, and the respawns are coming in from X6.
Yeah, they're getting themselves back there. Bumper throws down his Primal Rage as Runaway are doing their very best to at least just disrupt X6 Cherubin out of the mech. So this is important. No more defense matrix to keep them alive. But he may get that mech back relatively quickly as he hops onto the point.
Runaway
there it
still
is.
haven't captured the point.
Yeah, Choyobin, he actually just spent all of his time as Baby Diva, got back into his mech, and now is just wreaking havoc once more on the side of X6.
Choyobin have bought them, what, 25% on his own? Looks like Runaway will eventually cap the point, but 76, it keeps ticking up because they have been so good, X6, at keeping this leashed.
Yeah, it's looking relatively disastrous. To be honest, Papa Smithy, for Runaway.
And every time they use an ult in this scenario, they have one less tool for when X6 finally have to mount a push, which is going to be with 90% in the can.
Yeah, and they've got the Transcendence, which is such a great ability to just storm points with.
You got to feel like target calling was a big problem there for Runaway. Honestly, at this level of play, it shouldn't be acceptable for that stall, which was honestly mostly 1 or 2 people on the point at a time. Just going round and round. Sure, in Season 1 of Apex, Lucio's live forever, darting around walls, but by Season 3, you wouldn't think that would work.
Well, Tac Visor comes in. That's a boop. Oh, see you later, Godsby. And that is going to be Tac Visor gone as well. Stitch trying to get in off the back end now as well. Sound Barrier comes in for Runaway. They're defending this with all of their ability. Rocket Mirage comes in. Mirage looking for what he can. Oh my god, Rocket Mirage, could that be a thing? That wasn't necessarily what they were looking for, though, as Huxal's the one that's really claiming the kills for Runaway now.
On the Diva also, we didn't even mention, is that he's increasing
it
that
over.
hero pool. Now a flexible tank player. That's not something I expected in Season 2 of
Oh,
Apex.
Godspeed! Give him Mirage a little bit of his own medicine as he throws out his projectile.
All right, so
Helix Rocket
Mirage
claims the kill.
delayed. Rano actually used the res there just to keep members up. Will be a 5v6 at least for the initial salvo, though.
Well, Frontline has most certainly made it onto the point there for X6, so they're contesting for the moment. Still ticking up for Runaway as Godsby looking for the Tac Visor. Self-destruct just buys some more time, but Timeboy's going to be able to grab the pick onto Runner. Both supports now dead for Runaway, and this could be the cap back for X6, and they're at 90%. they can stagger these kills nicely, it could just mean a cap. And that's going to be Huxol just losing his mech and losing his life.
Yeah, all Runaway could do was try to force them to invest more, but X6 only actually had the self-destruct available. They will start to build ults as Runaway pushes in. We've got one last Titanic fight.
Yeah, that is going to be 99%, so the overtime is here. Can Runaway get the work done? Primal Rage already used by Bumper just to disrupt Bump. Oh, Runner's so close to falling, but it's actually Time Boy. Stitch grabs that kill, and Runner gets himself back up to life. Really nice sound barrier to stop the Mercy from falling down.
Needs to take out the Mercy. They do.
Yep, No Spite's going to be able to grab that one, but have they been disrupted for long enough? Runaway do grab Godsby and Bebe, but look at this. Mirage, he's going to fall. So much of the damage is going to be removed, and Treyurban has that shield from the sound barrier to try and keep himself alive. Down to the Baby Diva now, though, as the
waves away.
Yeah,
Bumper, who does fall.
Down. Treyurban gets the kill with the self-destruct, though.
Runner not on the point.
That's X6. They are able to grab the first one here against Runaway, and honestly, they just looked cleaner.
Yeah, it looks like Runaway might be able to charge up the ult there, specifically onto the Mercy when they invested the sound barrier, but crucially not enough charge. Runner dying first, Mirage thus having no heals. And while it was a trade, when your pharmacy is traded for a tank and a support, usually goes pretty bad for the side of Runaway, so eventually ground out very close. First opening map there. It does go the way of X6.
Yeah, some good takeaways from Runaway, though. Good to see the Diva coming out from Huxol, and he looked good as well. They're going to need a little bit more than that. They're going to be successful here, as it's now X6's turn.
Well, you see that you are not prepared, sign. That means that Huxol's on the Genji.
Oh, yes.
That means Mirage will be going on Diva. We've already had 3 different people play Diva this particular map, as Mirage, Bumper, and Huxol have all taken to the Diva.
Had a bit of a shot on it. Huxol now just trying to build up this Dragon Blade. It's going to be traded kills. Yeah, 2 supports falling very early. Winston's getting work done as Time Boy. He's going to be the answer, but it's trades everywhere. Control Point is a lot about this in the early stages. Jockeying for position, a lot of skirmish action. But it is going to be Runaway coming out on top as far as that is concerned, while X6 were just looking to grab a cheeky first cap.
If X6 had picked up the first capture with Pharmacy, it would have had to be significant swaps from Runaway, who don't actually have a hit scan to be able to take out the Pharah, but now it's going to have to be Pharah approaching from a vantage point. We've seen Genjis take out Pharahs, but it's certainly...
That is a Who Are You special, Papa Smithy.
Difficult one to pull off.
Yep, Huxol in trouble now, goes down to about half health.
No heals.
Yeah, you can't reflect that. He's going to fall. Time Boy has the Pulse Bomb. If he can do anything, I thought he might actually go for it just there. He had an opening onto Cox. Godsby is going to be the one to answer. So Stitch is going to fall, and X6 going to try and claim what they can. Only 33% so far, as there's the Pulse Bomb. X6 able to get the kills despite that ultimate not doing too much. Rocket Barrage from Godsby here as well, but they need to get rid of this mech. They're going to make it work, and they do so.
This is a shooting gallery for Godsby, like we mentioned, with there being no hit scan and the staggered members. It's not any Discord into hitscan, hijinks available to shut him down, so we'll see if Runaway will switch away.
This is just a parade of kills now for X6.
50% on the board, but the question is how to shoot Godsby out of the sky.
Yep. Or how to slash him out of the sky, as Huxol now has that Dragon Blade available. You're right, it is asking a heck of a lot. Bebe is now getting boosted up, and look at how aggressively X6 are pushing forward. Runner comes in, but Runaway, look at that barrier. It is not in the position that they wanted. Huxol throws down his ult. As Runaway looking for the kills. That is 2 already. Godsby gets a double with the Rocket Barrage, but is taken down by Cox with that right-click charge up by the looks. It's going to be self-destruct, good barrier placement, but Bebe is still going to fall down. Huxol's going to be answered.
Yeah, very even trades, but just tending towards X6. Got a lot of value out of the res.
Pulse Bomb flies forward, and that is going to be the mech dealt with based on that ultimate just doing so much work. No Smite's going to answer with Diva's mech and then herself.
Runaway trying to force this hard, using the sound barrier.
Yeah, they're investing a lot, but it's just taking such a long time that they don't have the coordination to actually get anything really done to stop this percentage ticking up for X6.
And Treyurban actually takes out Bumper, so tank trade there with the self-destruct. I thought it was just a zoning one, but it was successful.
Yeah, both Traces actually going very, very aggressive and getting themselves out alive. But Pulse Bomb built up by Timeboy.
Yeah, trading 1 for 1 as Bebe keeps being able to build res. You know, this needs to turn into a whack-a-mole. Runaway needs to find a way to find the Mercy, because for now, she's been largely unhindered.
Yeah, that Pulse Bomb is sort of just flying off into the abyss. As Timeboy, oh, Stitch picks it up. Actually, crit to finish things off, so Runaway may have an opportunity now. Pulse Bomb does get a bit of a stick. Find too much more as Jobin is eventually
Rez is
taken
used
down.
just to bring back No Smite.
Yeah, and Huxal, oh, look at this. Runaway just explode out of the gate now. They're looking for the kill on Godsby, but he's able to make his way out. This is still the percentage ticking up, though, for Runaway.
Yeah, Baby used the res on just the Winston, but just lined up with Huxal's Dragon Blade. Nice claim for Runaway. They will have Transcendence on the defense and also double support ultimates, it looks like. Whereas not actually a lot in the tank for X6.
Well, see whether they can still get this cat. They're at 93%. Still 80 for Runaway. And look at this positioning from Godsby. Rocket Barrage now done.
Timeboy taken out. Leads to once again a need for a reform from the side of X6. Percentage ticks over 90%. Probably going to see another Titanic battle, and unless it really rages on for a long time, res will not be available for X6.
And X6 just waiting for the last possible second to try and get this defense. Runaway throw down the sound barrier very, very early. X6 still have the Rocket Barrage available, but remember, no res. So they don't have that opportunity. Choyobin gets the first kill as Godsby's going to kill himself, actually. Mirage is doing some work, but it's traded kills. X6 are the ones that are losing out more effectively, though, and that's the team wipe, and Runaway will answer this and bring us to 1-1 on control.
Yeah, no res being available, and Runaway winning a fight without hit scan onto the Pharah. Just from some really solid play from Huxal. No surprise that his Genji play and his Genji form sticks with him, even if he hasn't been able to play it in Apex recently. I like a lot of what X6 did, but when it came to actually being able to force the point, they had overinvested too much trying to hold on to the capture when they had it, and thus, when the flip happened, they didn't really have the resources to win a fight.
Yeah, they were doing the very best they could to wait as long as possible and start that fight up with as little time remaining so they could just get the flip and take the game, but quite happen. Now we're on the deciding map.
On University, so there is actually a chance we'll see the Sombra. We've seen it before, and we'll see it here.
Like, it has been very, very popular on this particular point.
It's insane to see University with no Reinhardts, but it's a sign of the meta.
Yeah.
Very obvious Reinhardt shield chokes, but not to be.
Good barrier stops Bebe from getting too much done, but the hack's going to come in, pops back, but he's going to be chased. Stitch grabs the mech very, very early here as Runaway are going ballistic to start this one. Godsby is going to be on the Genji as well, so this hasn't been a great start for X6 so far. Yeah, Runaway looking to grab first cap.
They'll definitely take first capture. Really like the adaptation, specifically around playing around Sombra. They basically did the math and worked out the most likely place for the translocator, and they were there the moment she snapped back to kill her after she picked up just a single small pack. So nice attack from Runaway. We've seen Luxury watch
once
blue.
again, hunted down. Huxal just says, ain't no funny business available for you, baby. We have been doing our research.
Yeah, Luxury watch Blue's attack formation on Volskaya, and now Runaway, just smart diving, has shut down the Sombra for the first time recently.
Oh, Huxal is so beautiful to watch on this Genji, but he's just being unanswered.
Yeah, they're just delaying the kill onto Choyobin as well. Means the baby Diva will have to come in late, and Runaway put Huxal on Genji, and somehow it all works out.
Yep. And is this the Sombra being answered, or is it Bebe not necessarily utilizing that sort of snapback in the right way?
I think it's a little bit of both, certainly. A lot of his translocators have been obvious and actually in sight lines of the enemy, so they haven't needed to guess.
Very aggressively placed, right?
It's insane that we're so far into the map and there's been 0 EMPs.
And that's a triple kill already from Huxal. He hasn't been answered. Make that 5! Well, very close to. That's 4. That's 5. Huxal's going nuts. Bebe's going to get the hell out of there. He says, well, guys, I've almost got an EMP. But that Genji is tearing us apart.
Yeah, we see the opening. No Nano Blade potential, of course, but dives in, This is what Hoxal does. It's one of the reasons why he's a next-level Genji. His ability to make it around a fight, judge when to weave in and out, separates him from everyone else's. We see the opening here, sound barrier from X6.
Well, Godspeed's trying to do his best. Hoxal impression already does very, very well, grabbing a triple kill. That is going to be the self-destruct, buying space on this point as Bebe's going to be able to pick up that kill onto Bumper. Nicely done by X6 to try and answer here, as they've got a heck of a lot of ultimates to work with to get this retake. But look at this, 95%. And Runaway do not want to give it up without a fight. So finally, that's the flip. That's a long road for X6 to come back.
Yeah, good Dragon Blade, and credit to X6. They didn't overinvest. It was only Sound Barrier and Dragon Blade to get the flip. EMP available finally for Bebe. Insane how slow the charge has been, given that we've seen it on every push and other maps. EMP could be big here. There it is.
Yeah, throws it in right in the back line, but have they actually got anything to answer it? EMP wears off, and then there's the ability to answer everything. Hoxal, he still has that Dragon Blade, throws it down right now with the aid of the sound barrier, and Runaway really getting through X6 at the moment. Stitch is the one picking up the majority.
4 for 1.
Yeah, nicely played. Should theoretically be that retake, but they still need to make sure that they can get it. A lot of delayed kills, and that could almost be more important as Hoxal.
I don't think anyone will even contest. No, there is a contest finally.
Eventually, it will be that overtime ticking down.
And Gilly just trying to buy time for respawns. I don't think they're going to get there, though. This is going to be Runaway.
The Runaway able to answer X6. Nicely done. The first point was just looking so much in more control for X6, but Runaway showing the fact that they do have that diversity.
First time, though, we've seen Sombra be a burden on her team, specifically here for Bebe. Didn't get the ult until there was 50% charge already on the point when it comes to ticks on a control center. And then the one time he actually got in position for an EMP, Cox did not buy the bluff, ulted Transcendence early, and they had Transcendence, so there was no ability to take down the members while they were vulnerable because they were being topped up at full health. No combo ult, like, for example, a Diva mech to get kills on defenseless members or anything like that, and thus the Sombra EMP did nothing. Credit to Runaway, because they're the first team, other than Luxury Watch Blue, to actually convince me that they have significant thought and preparation into taking out a Sombra.
Yeah, and we're sort of a bit spoiled here, but we are going to have attack pause just to make sure that we get everyone in the correct mindset. X6 wanting to make sure that everyone's sorted and okay after that loss on the first map. And I like this idea, you know, you don't want to get that snowball going, especially for Runaway, who, you know, like their name, are able to run away with games quite effectively.
You settle the ship, right? Because it's not about run away with games, running away with the set. This is a must-win set for both teams, so the coach needs to be able to go in there, judge the temperature, really think about the hybrid choice, because that's also... There's so many different hybrid maps, and I think they all have their different cadence. Hollywood and Kings Row, for example, significantly different propositions. Again, I just want to talk a little bit more about the Sombra, because it's been so dominant. We've seen so many games decided by Sombra.
What I was going to say was that we're spoiled for Sombra players in this particular tournament as well. Apex, especially this season, has just been fantastic for Sombra play. Twilight, of course, starting things off.
But then we have different types of Sombra, because we have, say, Cox and now Bebe and Twilight, like you say, support players flexing onto Sombra, abusing the health packs and the EMP, being a single ult that can often stop a push. And we have Rascal, who is a DPS player, jumping on Sombra and giving more healing in a meta where healing is a little bit lower after the latest adaptations and Ana largely falling out of the meta. So approaches with Sombra, but shutting down Sombra has been something not many teams can do. If you just jump on a forum and like, how do I beat Sombra? EMP keeps wrecking me, people will say, well, divide up, you know, don't necessarily clump, but clumping is such a frequent strategy. Chokes are so frequent, and abusing speed boost means that often you have to clump up, and thus Sombra comes up clutch. We definitely have seen some times where teams have staggered, but I think the more interesting strategies have been Luxury Watch Blue, especially on Volskaya, attacking through the vantage point and going down the stairs where the big health pack is and stopping the big health pack from being camped. That was a great strategy. It was talked about a lot. But then we have here just really being able to abuse with dive translocator spots, because now we have enough tape to be able to watch these players and go, okay, where are the common translocator spots? Because that was kind of up in the air a couple of weeks ago before Sombra became meta, because Sombra is certainly right there in the meta, especially on control point maps.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so being able to attack and dive, and also the Transcendence a bit early, because you're like, well, I haven't seen EMP yet, which was already madness. It's going to have to be at this choke if we're going to group up, Transcendence early, and thus the EMP value, if there's any miscommunication they blow it, it's going to be very low.
Yeah, and can we actually snipe out the Sombra before anything can even happen with the use of the Transcendence there as well? And some of the other uses of that AMP have been brilliant with, you know, negating Deadeye, things like that. Like, there are so many opportunities for that AMP to be so incredibly impactful. So we'll see whether we're going to see any more Sombra play and whether it's going to be out of Bebe or anybody else on either side. Of course, Runaway haven't really seen too much notable Sombra play thus far. But that's the tack pause done, and we'll see whether X6 have got themselves back together. That was pretty disappointing. Winning that first point so incredibly convincingly with a lot of coordinated play and looking very, very good, sort of targeting out that pharmacy composition, and then crumbling on the last 2 points.
Interesting to see if they choose King's Row. There's never been a great map for Runaway. They're 1 and 2 on that particular one. Hybrid choices are always really fascinating to me.
Yeah. I personally want another Hollywood. I feel like the composition options are far more exciting. See whether they do decide to go. It is going to be Eichenwald.
Really interesting choice here, given that Eichenwald was one of the maps that Runaway was best on in previous seasons. You remember they picked it in the
But was it because
final
of
game
Kaiser?
of that Apex. It's an interesting question to pose, but it used to be Comfort. But like you say, how much do historical stats matter when it was famously Kaiser's antics that won them a lot of those Eichenwald maps?
Yeah, I mean, like 4-man Earth Shatters, things like that.
That's just a clip that's never going to be forgotten.
Yeah, 4-man Earth Shatters into 3-man pins. It's just disgusting. But it's just not going to be a thing. Because he's, of course, on Cloud 9 now. So, Runaway finding a new identity. And can this new identity still hold the control that they had once on Eichenwald? We'll be finding out very, very soon. And I'm excited to see whether the rest of the players can make this recipe work out as we move over to Eichenwald for our first hybrid map of the series. Whew. Runaway fans out in force, but X6 is a difficult cheer as well, Pup Smithy, so I feel like people are getting a little bit caught.
Yeah, we definitely have more Runaway fans in the studio than X6, but it's not by multiple factors, not by a factor of 3 or a factor of 4. There is a very respectable crowd here for X6 wanting to see.
There's a respectable crowd here just in general, Pup Smithy.
I mean, Runaway and Lunatic High are the 2 most popular teams with the fans. Actually, watch Blue around the level of Runaway, maybe a little bit lower. Teams like Winners and, of course, Runaway won a lot of hearts with Runner's story and also just being, you know, an amateur team making the finals. So, well-supported teams today. We're spoiled with great matches. Always a good feel.
Of course, Runaway with 2 pretty famous streamers on their team. Mirage as well. Doing pretty well in the streaming world.
I like the base jumping we just saw from X6. Who just like, let's just jump from far away.
Woohoo!
Feels good, man.
Practicing their coordination, Pup Smithy.
So we're looking at the defense here from X6. There is an element of dive to it. They are going to be running the defensive Genji, which in last season would not be a surprise, but this season, given Godspeed's flexing, is more of a surprise, whereas Runaway, very standard dive comp. This is the Lunatic High and Runaway Grand Final Special here from Runaway.
Yeah, and I actually just love the fact that we've just gone back to the Genjis as well, Pup Smithy. Huxal stayed on it as well, as there's a big dive in already. Runaway do not want to waste any time getting to this first point. That was a decent sleep, but he pops right back up again.
And you know what? Runaway are pretty good at dive comps, Atlas.
Yep, they most certainly are. That's 3 kills very, very quickly. Cox is going to fall, but Mirage continues to answer, and his D.Va play has looked good. And it's certainly not changing right now as Huxal just dashes his way through everything.
And it's at points like this where you wonder, was it the next level mind game? Where they're like, well, he's just a Winston main now. There's nothing we can do. You know,
Huxell honestly just made like a Zoro Z in the air with his dashes.
but I want to give Runner the benefit of the doubt. He's one of the older players. He's clearly got a mind for business and a mind for developing talent. And maybe he just played the ultra long con and was like, wait, what works for us? Genji? All right, we got just the guy for that.
And we need another underdog story. So let's just lose a few games at the beginning and sort ourselves out afterwards. I like it. I like it a lot.
Genius and madness. It's a fine, it's a fine line between those two. Now Cox is left alone. He is dived here by the Genji and D.Va duo.
And Stitch is at least able to grab BB, but Runaway still losing a lot of their health bars and forced away from this one quite nicely. Timeboy keeping himself healthy, and that barrier is going to fall down. Runaway still trying to push this one forward. And they at least are able to grab Choyobin, which spells the retreat from X6, honestly. D.Va, it's just been so incredibly important.
There's a lot of coverage on the castle face, so diving in and delaying the cart is one of the ways. It's quite hard to fight when it gets to the midpoint for the defense, but if you can afford to dive in, you can get some significant delay like we saw.
Yep, halfway to the second point now, Runaway.
We're pretty close to one of the mythical 12 ultimate fights.
Oh god, it's beautiful. Stitch taking a heck of a lot of damage to hold himself back, but he gets healed back up, and in comes X6. Now look for this dive. Barrier comes in. They're not really able to get too much from Nosmite, who's now just running around with that Primal Rage. And Huxell, it's Dragon Blade time, and he's tearing him up. But is it going to be enough? There's the self-destruct. Doesn't quite get any kills for X6, and instead, they're going to lose all of their lives. Choyobin loses his mech once again, and his life. Huxell's able to take him down as well, and Runaway will get to this second point almost effortlessly, you have to say, because Iconvolt is a difficult one to push through, as there's Godspeed Drag Nanoblade coming out for the Genji, but is he going to get answered? That is going to be done. So self-destruct just says, see you later, Godspeed.
It's all about the last second contest here. They haven't quite pushed here, have Runaway.
Cox is going to fall. Timeboy actually grabs Bumper as well. It's a lot of the utility heroes now dead on the side of Runaway, and Stitch just says, well, I'm going to go back home, and Timeboy's going to say, well, I'm going to chase you down. See you later, buddy.
But this is actually really big for X6, because when you defend right at the last, you have an insane terrain advantage if you're the defending team. No chance of a backdoor. So X6 can potentially get quite a lot of delay, because think about how much terrain you have to cover just to get back to the cart. So investing the Nanoblade, it was instantly answered by the Transcendence, but you see Nanoblade, people will run in different directions. That allowed a space for the rest of X6 to come in as well. Some more stalling's going to happen now.
Yep, Runner's going to get picked, and then Godspeed answers as well with a kill onto Stitch. Huxell, he's in trouble.
And Timeboy just wants to buy time. Any single pick, Stagger begins again. And what was 4 minutes 30 when they rounded the bend is now down to 2:30. And even if they cap, the time bank they were hoping for is gone.
Well, Runaway still with opportunities to get back to this. Like you said, I mean, Iconvolt just feels so difficult on attack in general.
There's just spots. They were desperate to get the full push and actually be able to reset the next point, but finally back on the cart. See what Huxell can make happen. No Nanoblade available as the Arna's no longer there.
Monkey's there, though, as Huxell throws out his Dragon Blade, picks up the kill onto Gilly, now looking for more. It will be Bebe falls, but he's not! He's actually going to be answered there, and Runaway are now getting destroyed. Stitch and Mirage able to do some work onto Choyobin, but that is going to be it. Mirage eventually falls down.
Runaway so much further away, so their respawns are irrelevant at the end of this fight. Another really good defense. Bebe doing his best Jaehong impression, peeling for himself and taking out Huxell. They don't have Nano Boost available because they no longer have an Ana on the side of Runaway. Only single support, double support, so sticking with what was good, but with no sound barrier or transcendence, they're only going to get one attempt, really, at finishing this point.
Well, Cox is going to fall. There's the Dragon Blade from Godspeed now that he knows that there was no opportunity with Transcendence. However, he is going to get destroyed. Kills are just flying out left, right, and center, though, as X6, they lose 2 to the 3 of Runaway, and now X6 turned it on. Choyobin doing work here in the front line as well, and they're so far away from the payload. Runaway just cannot get there.
And you know who you need at this point? You need a Reinhardt, it feels like, to get back to the points. One of the reasons why Reinhardt is so strong is chokes, and also just trying to shield away poke that can be so powerful, and so far out of the meta, and with guys no longer in the lineup, no Reinhardt.
Well, one pick now onto Godsby. This could be an opportunity now for Runaway to get some work done. As Mirage has the sound barrier available to him to try and utilize this high ground. Puts his damage into the front line. Timeboy's actually been nano boosted, I believe. That was an odd decision to make, as there's the attack visor. Mirage trying to claim some kills. Timeboy's going to be the first to go down as Gilly kills himself. Does some work here. Helix Rocket onto No Smite, but remember, so much distance has been bought from X6 that they should be able to respawn and make their way back in if they lose this battle. Godsby's going to fall once again in what feels like the same team fight. We've got 10 seconds to go. Runaway still trying to push to point 2, and it looks like they might be able to get there unless X6 can dash over onto that payload.
It's definitely just going to be a delay. Runaway have a big ult advantage, but if you get them to blow some ult, it's still a mini win for X6.
X6 do make it onto this payload as Huxall's going to be the first one to fall down. X6 starting off well in overtime. Might be able to get themselves the hold. Wow, this is massive. Cox actually picking up the Reaper as well for Runaway in what feels like some form of desperation. Runaway lose a couple. Godsby's going to fall as now Mirage is doing what he can, but he needs to get himself over there. That's going to be that. Runaway can't push it to that second point.
Yeah, some great tracking from Mirage in the back. Didn't have access to the attack visor. Was doing great work, but his frontline dies in front of him. And even though they had a big ult advantage, credit to Timeboy getting the first pick and then X6. It felt like their target selection was just better than what Runaway was able to put up by the end. Again, the shots were getting through from Mirage, but not the kills necessary. And given the time bank they had, very good first push claim with the dive comp. Last second, it was 0.69 meters away from being completed. Would have been a different map, would have been a massive time bank. But from there, basically 4 minutes of rappelling right on the precipice of getting through to the final phase of this particular map means that suddenly, very achievable for X6 to even up the series.
We'll see whether Runaway are going to stick with this triple support composition, which has seen a lot of success, especially on hybrid maps. Hollywood being the best example. We just haven't been seeing very much Eichenwald. See whether Runaway can make this one work, or whether they're going to switch back to something else and troll me super hard. Here's an opportunity for that. So Mirage is, of course, going to be the one sitting on the Ana, so I like that.
You remember when we saw Rogue suss out that once again Lunatic High was running triple support on Hollywood defense. They instantly went back and swapped to the likes of McCree and other hit scans to be able to burst down a single target rather than dive.
Yep, I like it.
Big advantage of triple support is against triple DPS dive comps, just because you heal through something like a Discord Orb and Genji's first salvo, and then you have support ultimates to hold the point. Waiting to see what X6 settle on, though, as we will be seeing Runaway on that triple support.
Yeah, they have locked it now. So it's the 2-2-2 composition coming out of X6, but it's going to be the Tracer instead of anything like the McCree, and we'll see whether they identify the composition and change.
It's not a true dive, so they're definitely in a better spot than Rogue were.
Yep. Timeboy sneaking around, so they know exactly what the composition is. No one going home just yet. They're just looking for this coordinated push in.
Definitely want a single engagement. If you allow Runaway to back off and heal through, get their support ultimates, it becomes so much harder for X6.
Yeah, good answer onto Timeboy there, who is going for the flank off to the back end, and no one seems to be able to even impact this point at all, as Stitch is just trying to challenge Timeboy for this area. He dashes all the way through, but it looks like he may be taken down. Nope. Good recall. Nicely placed. Stitch is going to take down No Smite, though, and Runner then gets rid of the mech, so frontline just destroyed from X6.
And they've got positioning on the point. It's ticking up as well. They're going to invest the nano boost on the Diva to buy time for respawns, though, Runaway.
Now Godsby's going to be able to take down Runner. Okay. Baby Diva should be dealt with here as well, so this cap should come in very, very quickly. That is going to be that. X6 claim the payload. Now just have to push it to just outside the second point. And look at these staggered kills as well from X6. Timeboy is having a field day right now. Godsby's got the tack visor as well. They can continue to put pressure on with 4 ultimates moving up this hill, and X6 are making a massive point to bring this to 1-1.
But it's so cool that Overwatch has become this rock, paper, scissors when it comes to comps. X6 were not found out. They weren't triple DPS into triple support. Support ultimates are up. One is used already by Runaway.
Yeah, Transcendence straight out of the gate. There's the sound barrier laid quite nicely here. But X6, they're holding onto their ultimates. It's just the tack visor from Godsby, and he's going to be answered immediately. The Winston's picking up kills each, and Stitch is going to be jumping back. Runaway, decent work here to start the defense on this payload. They're not giving up yet, as there's the answering sound barrier from X6, but Bebe had already been taken out, and it doesn't seem to matter. Gilly's still going to fall. Honestly, didn't buy them much at all. It's the trade of the Lucios, and Timeboy is doing what he can. Stitch is going to be taken down as Godsby as well is doing some work.
X6 are inching forward. Mistake from Runaway. Runner has been too early. Actually overlapped the sound barrier with Transcendence. Didn't get full value. Gilly held it till much later, and that's why they could turn the fight when it was a 3 versus 3 right at the end. And now Timeboy, licking his lips, wants to look for a pulse bomb onto the back line and goes for it.
Yeah, throws it out, doesn't get any sticks, but look at this. The payload is so incredibly close to Runaway's front door, and that's the only place it needs to get. Don't need to get into that choke, you don't need to get into that terrible position, as Runaway do claim a few picks. Mirage doing work with that tack visor as well as the Helix rockets, and that's going to be that.
Nice boop from Runner onto No Smite meant Winston was down, thus X6 kind of went down one by one after that, and now they find themselves in a familiar position.
Yeah, I was going to say.
As once again, we are going to deal with a pretty significant terrain disadvantage for X6. They try to get back to the point. Won't be any swaps because everyone, barring Gilly, is above 50% ult charge.
Slight difference here, given the fact that we have no Genjis, no Anas.
I feel like Primal Rage will be the thing to separate the two teams, because if you get in there and you can get some boops into the precipices here, you can actually get quite a few kills. Just knocking around carts as well.
Pulse bomb, just going to buy some space, but Stitch going to be able to find any kills with it.
I think it was eaten there actually, because did not actually get a pick, even though it got a stick.
Yeah, it did look like it. However, Transcendence now forced out from Cox. Runaway still holding on to the sound barrier a little bit better this time. See whether that's going to mean the change. There's another pulse bomb, but not going to get any sticks unless you call the wall a stick. It's going to be Mirage falling. Sorry, picking up a kill under Timeboy. Nicely done. Godsby grabs himself the health pack, but X6 forced to back away for the moment.
That'd be another pretty big stagger as well. X6 could have chosen to actually play that like an eco push, but they probably didn't respect Runner already having sound barrier up, and the sound barrier advantage led to such a big health discrepancy at the start of the fight that Runaway were always likely to win it. Now, they invested quite a bit. You know, they used Primal Rage. They used quite a few resources, and Gilly is at 81%, but it feels like sound barrier will have to be the critical tool to allow X6 to actually pick up the last meterage needed to close out this map.
Godsby has claimed some high ground here as well. With that tack visor available, he could have some opportunities for some kills, but without cover available.
I mean, without nano boost, with a diva, with coverage to kite back to, as we can see now, not going to be big, as Mirage has popped his.
Yeah, he's just going to be standing in here just trying to repel this dive, but X6 are doing a bunch of work trying to get rid of the Runaway members. Already 2 missing. X6 have only lost 1. That's the bop on the head, and Runaway just losing too much here. Remember, there is not much space left to throw through, and look at that high ground for Godsby with the tack visor.
Oh, did they?
Oh, barrier flies through. Bumper makes his way onto the point. Runner there as well. Bumper's going to follow, and that is going to be a short-lived victory for Runaway as they do let the cart through, and that's going to be 1-1. Here for X6. Nicely done.
Timeboy's so good at disrupting the backline at that final push. I assumed when they had high ground that he couldn't actually pressure Runaway into a bad spot. They could kite behind the walls and make sure that the ultimate there, the tack visor, would get little value, but Timeboy got the crucial pick. They actually disrupted the backline, and X6 get, honestly, a fair result. They had a really good defense on the castle phase against Runaway, stopping the snowball capture 1.69 meters from the end and repelling well from there. If you can absorb 4 minutes of the cart pushing when it rounds that final bend on Eichenwald, you deserve the victory. So credit to X6-Gaming, and kind of like we said in the pregame, still not a lot to separate the two contenders to Afrika Blue, who are very much going to be the first team from Group B.
And X6 haven't necessarily been challenged as well. I mean, it has been 2-2-2 compositions. That triple support was cute, but it was switched off pretty quickly. So X6 not necessarily needing to change up their style. We'll see whether it is going to be the 2-point capture that forces them into some sticky situations, because it was in the past. We We are going to have a short break, ladies and gentlemen, but when we get back, we'll see who's going to get to that match point as we move to 2CP.
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성 사이다.
노력은 선수를 만들고 코어 i7 프로세서는 멈추지 않는 파워를 드립니다.
Welcome back, everyone, to Apex Season 3. We are 1-1, all tied up in a series between Runaway and X6. And, of course, X6 looking real good on that Icon Vault, which was the decision of Runaway to go to.
Yeah, heroic defense for point B there. The cart was, what, a meter away?
It was, of course, X6's decision. My mistake.
Cart was a meter away from getting through those big doors, but last-second contest came up strong, and thus Runaway now have to make the map choice. We'll be moving over to two-point capture, so we'll see what they decide to do on Assault.
Yep, of course, Runaway looked good on Volskaya last time we saw them. A couple of multi-man boops coming out of Runner, and it's always good. When you see Runner looking good, you know you're having a good series.
And Runner's Mercy has also stepped up. He was dying first in a lot of engagements previously, but is getting better on Mercy, even if it's not his comfort, Lucio. So will it be Volskaya? No, it's the Temple.
Oh, Temple of
It's
Anubis.
X6's kryptonite.
It's the run it down left.
So what do they do this time? Do they surprise Runaway by running it down left? Because you'd think that's the last thing they would do, right?
They should have been practicing anything other than running it down left, because honestly, they're very good at that. We're, of course, talking about the catacombs on the second point of Temple of Anubis, which seem to be their only understood entry into that.
They're definitely going to be hoping it doesn't become a meme, because to cement the memedom, it needs to be, once again, the choice of them in a second match.
But they only need to run it down one more time. This is the thing. If they even test the waters down the left side.
If you run it down multiple times in other games, you get banned, Atlas, but in Overwatch, it's pretty damn good.
In fact, I think that they might just let Runaway full hold, just to make sure that it's just never going to be a meme. We've got it sorted out.
All right, we've got our derps down pre-game. That's good. Now we're going to have some sick play-by-play analysis.
Absolutely, absolutely. Temple of Anubis is the choice, and a lot of options here as far as hero select. Let's see exactly what these teams are going to do as we head to Temple of Anubis for Game 3.
I get it.
Oof. The chorus of Runaway fans, but X6 still decent representation, as the last two games did show us. Now onto the Temple of Anubis.
And the strategy that we've seen be the consensus best on attack, I think, has been the Widowmaker, honestly. Opening Widowmaker on this map from the maps we've seen so far in Apex Season 3 has been deathly effective, kind of regardless of if tracking is on point or not, because it forces everyone to pull back really defensive and thus makes the capture and the dive more predictable. So I do think that if you can open Widowmaker on attack here, it is very, very powerful. Maybe having a bit of fun with Widowmaker on defense, but of course we'll default over to the Zenyatta.
Yeah, we've seen
I say that, and he will now move away, and in fact, it'll be Godsby, who has been a Widowmaker main in the past.
This does make a little bit more sense to put the DPS on.
But remember, it's only the duo here. It is not also the Zenyatta for being able to do 200 damage body shots. Still plenty of damage on a headshot, but the body shot taking down someone like a Genji is not going to be possible, and a Widowmaker battle, how exciting.
Yeah, well, Cox now looking for the initial pick. Oh,
had a good sight line there, that could have been. And he gets that information, and just like a Sonic Arrow, he is going to think about his options, backs away. What's Cox up to here? He wants to go for another shot. Oh!
If at first you don't succeed, wait for the cooldown.
That was baller.
Damn right. And now just switches
The
back.
swag
so
change. You're just like, I'm good.
Don't you worry. Is already to jump themselves onto this point. Runaway doing some work.
Does mean that that single pick could be big here.
With Mercy going down first, that is very important as Mirage is able to take down Timeboy. Shoyobin is able to answer, but immediately falls, and Cox grabs another headshot onto Gilly, this time with some orbs. Look, his hit scan on point, projectiles on point. What more can you ask for?
Well, he got himself a highlight clip Atlas, that part is for sure.
I just love that he misses the first one and then just waits.
Now we get to judge which way Runaway will approach on point B.
Run it down.
Well, for now, they're going to go left. Snowball ults are not far away from coming into calculation. The picks were fast, so they didn't actually build up a lot of ult charge. Stitch has the pulse bomb, as you can see.
Well, not a lot of defense here on the side of X6.
Huxal dies so close to Dragon Blade, and this is definitely going to halt the first push from Runaway.
Yeah. Stitch is still playing aggressively, has a lot of dashes, but yep, there it is.
And one of the big problems on attack on this map and most two-point captures is, you know, you can't jump off, you can't suicide. So when you fail a first push, you fail and you give the enemies ult charge because, you know, there's really no easy way to back away as Mirage only now is a super huge delayed split spawn here. It's a Runaway lose about 40 seconds as penalty for that failed push.
Well, Huxal does have his Dragon Blade. Runaway actually with 5 ultimates, just waiting on that Transcendence from Cox.
Be the most important of them.
Timeboy, a little bit of a fat finger there.
It does register though.
Yeah.
No kills picked up. A lot of ults on both sides. Launching the Diva ult.
Yeah, Self-Destruct flies in there. Mirage not able to get too much for it. And Huxal now with the Dragon Blade up. To see what he can actually get. Has the assistance of that sound barrier, but is only able to grab one. Self-destruct flies in from X6 just to negate this pressure that Runaway are putting down, and the Primal Rage is now here. Bumper, can he actually get them off this point to try and get that first tick or anything here for Runaway? Answering sound barrier was down as X6 lose their Lucio afterwards.
Yeah, using your ult first as a Lucio can be really bad because, of course, the respawns are so quick that the fight will rage on even after the sound barrier duration runs down. So Gilly having it at the end meant they could easily get back into position. No ticks onto point B for Runaway, and now it's probably time to change up strategy, and you see pretty big changes. There will be our first Reinhardt of the night. Reinhardt mains in the Twitch chat.
And we've got the Zarya Roadhog to answer this. So off the 2 main tanks that we've seen dominate the meta thus far in the Winston Diva, we're going to have Roadhog.
Well, there's a lot of people to pick here.
And we running up left. Is this the composition you need in order to do that?
It's a great angle for Roadhog hooks. That's what they're looking for. It's triple DPS. So.
Oh, big EMP. The Runaway just going to get melted after that. Look at these health bars. X6 dealing with it with such ease. You cannot take the catacombs if you're against X6. They live there. This is their realm.
Yeah, take them down with a plum as well. Just a single ultimate required to get the team wipe. And given the nature of that pesky Sombra, certainly can see more of that coming through.
I did like the fact that Runaway have at least tried something else. You know, try a different strategy. Don't just try the same thing over and over again expecting different results. Something madness as Timeboy's going to get
gets a pick.
Yeah, good hook. Start this one off as Huxal building towards that Dragon Blade, gets it, pulls it out immediately as the EMP comes in, but a little bit too late.
And he's hacked as well.
Yeah, okay. Godspeed's going to answer, throws down the tack visor. And that is going to be enough. Double kill as Runner falls as well. 2 very important members now for Godspeed, who's now just able to shoot everyone down relatively easily. But look at this, these big tanks. Able to take down at least Choyobin.
But soon we'll get the respawns coming through. Right now it's just Huxal. So Stitch
another
on the
hack.
point.
Bebe just seeming to get his eye in now on the Sombra.
And that's actually a hack. You know, normally, of course, given how often the EMP is up, you mistake hack and EMP. But EMP was not up. Hacking a ulting Dragon-Bladed Genji is what changed that fight over to the side of X6. And they've already shown that just the EMP can be enough to repel a push, especially if Runaway go down the left-hand flank. That, of course, is great terrain for the Roadhog, but equally great terrain for the Sombra.
Well, they built up the Earth Shatter and the whole hog as well, so a lot of
Baby's
disruption
like,
available.
why not again?
Yeah, if they're going to do the same thing again, he may as well do the same thing again, and does so. That's a big EMP one more time. As Runaway immediately back off. Could this be the answer? As Choyobin immediately taken out of the mech, but does have the self-destruct, throws that one in there. Earth Shatter to answer, as that is huge. Multiple stuns as the pin's going to pick up Gilly. Mirage finishes that one off, and now Runaway able to pick up 3 to start this one off. Choyobin as well has been demech from before, and he's going to get hammered to the face.
They also have the ultimate here from Zarya.
But will they even need it as Runaway are getting so many picks? They'll have Graviton Surge for these respawns as well. There it is. Bebe's going to be the one finished off.
Not a great ultimate there, not a great Graviton Surge. Usually it can actually clog up a whole choke, but the fight keeps going.
Yep, they got so close to that push, but Bumper's going to fall. Godsby switching onto the McCree, is able to grab the headshot necessary, and X6 gets so many kills, and Runaway is going to have to try one more time. 1.5 minutes on the clock.
It did feel like Runaway had all the tools to actually pick up the cap. You can have multiple members go to one of the doors and then just use the Graviton Surge on the other, and there's no way to come through, but instead, single-man Graviton Surge as the respawns were coming through. Well, not in overtime. The respawn timers are still really low, so we're looking more and more likely for it to be an overtime cap, if one at all, for Runaway.
Runaway at least managed to get 2 ticks on the point. So bought themselves a little bit more breathing room as Pulse Bomb comes in, picks up the kill on a Mirage. That is going to delay the full force attack from Runaway even longer. Whole Hog has been built up. Runner very close to grabbing his sound barrier, but still 30% away from that Earth Shadow, which
Stitch has moved away, back onto his trademark Tracer. So far not convinced by Mirage's Earth Shatters or Stitch's Graviton Surge, and those big AoE ults, if you are to actually select, you know, heroes that are largely out of the meta, are so important as well. Nanoblade time.
Yep, Huxol comes in. They built up this Nanoblade just for this. They throw down the self-destruct there as well as Choyobin's able to pick up Huxol with it. Time Boy and Godsby both popping off as that is a triple kill for the Tracer. And the team wipe does come down. Runaway looking out of sorts here with 10 seconds to go. That's going to be the hold for X6.
I don't even think they're going to be able to contest onto the point. Cox isn't going to get there.
Got a desperate run forward, and Runaway just throw down their ultimates because they can and just can't make it.
And you get another window into why we do not see Reinhardt, because guess what? You EMP, like we saw there, this time it was an EMP, and Reinhardt can't even hold up his shield.
Yeah.
He's just free food for the other members. The Diva ult doing work, the Tracer darting around. Everything about Reinhardt is predictable. That's why he was using the bus. He's reliable. He's very good at inching forward through narrow chokes, which a lot of Overwatch maps at the end of the day come down to. But in this case, with specifically the Sombra, they had great answers to the Reinhardt, got no value out of it. Stitch flexed onto the Zarya, and his Graviton Surge was not good enough to justify the flex. And now, sure, 84.5% is decent when it comes to percentage, but while Temple of Anubis is not an easy map to complete, getting an overtime capture is pretty common on this map, so X6 do come in favorites.
Yeah. Well, now on the attack, and we'll see what their answer to what Runaway was able to put down is going to be. Whether we're going to have once again one of those phenomenal snipes early on. That was predictable positioning.
I mean, the one from
X6.
Cox was so much swag, though.
So much swag.
Especially when he was just staring at the sign, being like, I'm going to jump up there. That was like a Babe Ruth moment, where you just point and you're like, this is where I'm going to hit it.
And
boom. Home run, headshot, pretty much the same thing.
Precisely.
So looking at Runaway on defense. Looks like back to Season 2 times. Huxol, once again, is on the Genji. So maybe that experiment's just been a couple of weeks. And they're happy to put Bumper onto the Winston. Because Mirage has been on largely Diva duty, you know? He did play DPS on Oasis, but since then has largely been playing Diva. And you need a Diva player. And that may be Mirage now for the team going forward.
Yeah, Huxol also moving away from the Winston, and Bumper taking up pretty much sole position on that one. Discord Orb immediately flies out on Mirage, but...
Speak of sole position, only one Widowmaker this time opening up. No defensive Widowmaker for Runaway.
Godsby trying to do what he can. Good defense matrix from Mirage just to try and deny him. But look at this, Bumper trying to threaten already. It depends how many resources they use for this Widowmaker, though, and all of a sudden nothing, and that's going to be the headshot onto Runner. Starting things off very well in this attack. Here's Godsby.
Time Boy trying to backdoor a single checkpoint. Might have been able to do so. We'll get that information in a second.
Oh, very close. Yeah.
No, not quite enough.
We're going low. That recoil does so. Exile. Okay, Noseblind able to grab that pick under the defensive team. It's a nano boost coming out. Going to be used onto the Winston just to try and buy some space.
Needs to be hitting these shots, Godspeed.
Oh, he's taken down. In fact, just slammed. Goomba Stomp.
Yeah, 2 pretty easy shots onto an Ana that wasn't even looking to juke and missed both of them, so very low value from Godspeed. Doesn't even have access to his ult yet.
All right, this is not a good feeling for a Baby D.Va, just to get backhanded over and over again by No Smite.
You wonder what the YouTube name of that clip would be.
Oh, no, you don't. I don't want to wonder about that. That sounds awful.
Well, they do get the point anyway, so Godspeed gets the reprieve. Looks like he'll push up and use ult, then change afterwards. That's usually the way of these Widowmakers on point B.
Yep. No perfect knowledge of where everyone is. Time Boy trying to juke this one around.
Ox is onto Sombra, so it's an attack Sombra here. Sorry, defensive Sombra from Runaway, my apologies.
Well, Godspeed's going to be taken down, but a lot of resources invested away from the point defensively from Runaway. Not punished for it whatsoever, though.
Ooh, Godspeed's actually going on to the Reaper. We saw some Reaper from, I believe it was Cox on the previous map trying to make things happen. Yep. Reaper was always a big favorite on this map in the Beyblade meta. If you can sneak him around left side and then pop in with the Beyblade, you can sometimes get work done, but no longer the move speed to make that a reliable engage.
Did you say left side?
Well, that's the X6 side.
Yeah. Opportunity here is Time Boy. He's going to switch to the Sombra as
So
well.
we now have that attack Sombra,
yeah.
so Sombra on both sides. If you think about it though, a EMP into a Death Blossom sounds pretty effective.
Damn right it does.
Speaking of EMPs.
The EMP is going to fly down as Cox throws his out first. Time Boy still building towards that one. Runaway throw down the sound barrier. It isn't going to be enough. 2 kills already on our red side, and in fact, Runaway have torn through them. It's in fact a double kill with the self-destruct, which is something that we see so much more of when the EMP has been used.
But it's everything used on the side of Runaway to particularly hold the point that time. X6 were grouped up. They won the game, the mind game, and actually got Transcendence out before the EMP applied once again. So that was good to see, but they didn't invest any further after that, which was smart from X6.
Good snapback from Cox. Translocation was dangerous.
Pretty similar time bank from X6. They fall on this map with a 6-minute plus time bank 2 maps in a row, then maybe they don't deserve to be going out of groups, so.
Yeah. And they need to get to the second tick in order for X6 to bring this to 2-1 and grab a match point, because there's a pulse bomb that doesn't get anything. Shield positioning was quite nice. There's the EMP from the opposing side. Time Boy has his available if he can throw it down in time. There's just not going to be enough opportunity, though, as X6 are falling to Runaway once again.
Now, he could have used it, but I think, again, the theory is hold onto it until there is the Death Blossom available for the Reaper. They've invested a lot in Reaper, just like we saw from Stitch on Zarya on the attack of Runaway. This is very much a, well, you know, the ult's going to charge up a lot slower. Not going to be getting any charge unless you commit as a Reaper. It's the reality of this short-range DPS, but they really, really want to make this duo work.
Well, Time Boy coming in from the side.
Got to be at 81%.
Just looking to build that as much as he possibly can, but X6 have got a bit of a free ride towards the point now. Sound Barrier comes in. They're trying to utilize this well. Do have Time Boy. He gets the EMP out first. Runaway did manage to get the sound barrier in before that one applied. Now they're doing what they can. Death Blossom comes in. Triple kill immediately from Godspeed. And is it going to be enough? The D.Va wasn't dealt with. But is X6 going to have enough options as Huxal with the deflection that it's not enough? And X6, they'll take it to at least the first tick. But can they get more as Runaway are holding on with Bumper's Primal Rage? Cherubin has to get himself out of here as Baby D.Va does escape for the moment. Actually, no, he doesn't. No Smite able to grab that. Runaway get a few back, so wow. Very, very close, but first tick is there, I believe.
Yeah, but the heroic defense is just the minimum there. They weren't able to clean up the final kill, so Huxal living for as long as he did meant they didn't get to 50%. They didn't get to the second checkpoint because there was still a contest on the point. And now they're going to go once again for the Reaper and the Sombra. It's worth noting that the EMP had actually worn off by the time that the Reaper ultimate was used. It got a triple, but not enough to actually get significant percentage.
Yeah. Well, Transcendence has been used very aggressively here for
Get on the
X6.
point.
Yeah, they're just taken right down the middle. Another EMP comes out from Cox just to try and disrupt the layering of ultimates and abilities. Runaway still managing to get more picks. Bumper eventually falls down, but I feel like the damage may have been done. That is no smite falling. The front line's done. Stitch having a field day. He tears everyone up. Godsby's going to fall.
And you're in this awkward point when you lose 3 or 4 and you need to regroup as X6 because you don't even want to dump damage into anyone, because if Sombra has her ultimate up again when they finally get the Reaper and Sombra synergy down, then it probably undoes all their good work. I think Transcendence was used to bait out EMP, but it's already at 60%, and they have a very narrow window to make this very transparent comp work.
Time Boy's going to run forward. That invisibility didn't quite last as long as he needed it to, as the self-destruct is going to buy more space. Mirage going to be demeched early on in this battle. X6-Gaming doing some work. Another Death Blossom grabs at least 2. Make that 3 as Huxall's going to fall, and could this now be the push X6 for looking for? They make it to the second tick.
80%.
This is going to be it, and X6 take out Temple of Anubis, and to be perfectly honest, that's the kind of redemption that they were looking for, because that 2CP, last time we saw them on this map, was awful. That was beautiful.
Well, they had a strategy. They felt like the synergy between Death Blossom and the Sombra was worth it, even when the first time it took forever to charge up. Credit to the Reaper play the second time around, because they actually managed to get the ult a lot faster. Got it over the line, so credit X6. When you do that strategy and don't get the point, you look foolish, but when you make it work with the obvious synergy, the Reaper kills came through, the Death Blossom brought back the clock. It felt like we're back in Season 1 days. Not quite Beyblade, but still a spinning Reaper, you know, a hero that's not considered to be very viable in this meta. When we finally hit the new patch and have the reload during Wraith form, perhaps we'll see a little bit more Reaper. It's not a massive buff, so yeah, Reaper's still waiting for a meta change in many ways, but Runaway is now at match point. That kind of horror scenario we talked about, Atlas, is here. If Runaway lose today, they will also be eliminated from the tournament, and we may have Rogue and Runaway eliminated on the same day.
We are going to have a tack pause here. Runaway using theirs when it gets to do or die. Of course, makes some sense, but I mean, what is the coach going to be saying? Because it's a destructive situation. We're moving to Escort now, but X6 just must be feeling so good. We can actually see them from where we are, this vantage point. And there are big smiles on the faces of this team. The momentum still working for X6-Gaming.
We're going to see a replay. Got an initial pick, and then you know what Reaper does from there. We've all played against plenty of Reapers. I got to say, on the Korean server, Reaper was ever present during Season 1, especially of Apex. Every game, a Reaper on both sides. No longer the way now, and there's always merit in bringing back strategies that worked a long time ago, but haven't been in the meta recently, because how many games do you think that Runaway have scrimmed against Reaper recently? The answer is probably very few.
We saw Reaper being toyed with a little bit on Temple of Anubis over the last couple of weeks, but it had never really found the, I guess, traction that it was looking for, because no one had invested as much into it as X6 just did on that particular Temple of Anubis. So I actually quite liked it, that they were stubborn this time, but it worked. Whereas they were stubborn last time, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So showing that, you know, once in a while, persistence does pay off, Papa Smithy.
And a half here to finally make that choice of Escort. Their choice here is actually going to be really interesting. Runaway in their history haven't played the most Escort. They're 3-3 historically in Apex on Escort. So their map choice here will be fascinating. Didn't get to see Escort in our first map of the day, or the first match of the day, of course.
I was going to say, now that we are finally heading to Escort this time around, what would you suggest here for that choice for Runaway? Because they do have to win this. Keep their hopes alive. Try and get into that second place.
I'm always a big fan of Dorado.
Yeah, me too.
I bet that's a good one to open. They have Mirage, who can play the Pharah on that map. You can come from behind and take some interesting sight lines to enter on the Pharah. So maybe something like Pharmacy and also the Genji from Haksal could definitely be done on Dorado, and that would be a consideration. I don't know if their hero pools really fit Route 66 that much, so I don't know if that will be the selection, but again, limited insights here. It feels like all their maps basically fit their hero pool, so I don't think there's necessarily a hard, right, correct choice here for Runaway. And then when it comes to the side of X6-Gaming, we just haven't seen these guys play Escort much so far.
No, haven't quite made it there. Of course, Freak of Freaks blue, meaning that you don't see a whole lot of Escort in this particular group because they deal with their opponents very, very quickly.
I mean, X6 got the win on Gibraltar, so
yeah,
that's probably the least likely of the choices here. I don't believe that Runaway's actually ever played Gibraltar, but that's always been one of the least picked Escort maps.
One of my personal favorite maps, Papa Smithy.
You do try and make Jibby a thing, which leads to me breaking pens at home.
I know. I always think of you when I say it as well, just so you know, Papa Smithy. I know that you want to murder someone every time you hear it.
Well, I jump in an Overwatch game and the catharsis comes there. It's more socially acceptable.
Yes. We'll see exactly which Escort map we are going to get. I personally like a Dorado as well. However, might be an opportunity for Timeboy to go ballistic as well. He has been the tracer that's been worth noting this particular series. Stitch hasn't necessarily been popping off the ways that we have been expecting. Now, finally, all of our questions are going to be answered. We head towards Dorado, so that's going to be the choice. They're going to take the gamble.
It does feel like they have the right tools to take this map again. It suits Mirage and Haksal, which I think is important. A lot of the success in the past for Runaway was built on their strong DPS duo. And thus, even though now calling it a duo is situational, given that Haksal does play the Winston as well.
Yeah.
Mirage needs to step up here. Honestly, he's the one that came into this team, has forced a lot of the role swaps, and did have a very good end to the series against Kongdo Onsia. So, do or die time. We've said it so many times, we'll say it many more times, because it very much is all of these groups being decided in the next couple of match days. And Runaway going out on the same day as Rogue would be just a very different shape to the top 8 than you would have expected.
Incredibly heartbreaking, but we'll see whether it is going to be Runaway bringing it back to tied up, and then also just capitalizing on exactly what they said with a 3-2 victory. Let's do it. Let's get to Dorado.
I get it.
Runaway fans finding full voice for perhaps the last time this season. Again,
oh, Papa Smithy, that is
strange things to be said, but not many people could have seen Afrika Blue's ascent in quite the manner that it did. Putting in a straight upgrade on support with Lucid was always going to make the team better, but 6-0 over X6-Gaming and Runaway better was something that...
Oh, and seeing Rascal and Birdring on the same team for the first time, it's just beautiful to watch as well. So,
Kongdo Onsia.
Sorry, Kongdo Onsia.
Not going to be the happiest place, but Afrika Blue doing so well is
yeah,
definitely something great to see. Lucid and Arhan on the same page. Arhan being back to the KR ults, the NA ults, less of a story.
It does mean that just Kongdo Onsia haven't been the team that we're expecting, so watching X6 and Runaway both run over the top, and this series could actually go the whole distance here if Runaway's choice of Dorado is going to be successful. Temple of Anubis wasn't quite. Still yet another opportunity to call the shots.
So they will be going to Stitch and Haksal, so Mirage will not be on the Pharah, will just be on the Diva this time.
Standard composition here this time around has got to be forced off this high ground.
First McCree in quite a while. Can be very, very strong at dealing with a diver like Tracer or the Genji, but it kind of makes the positioning of Choyabin quite interesting. You kind of want to peel for the McCree if at all possible, rather than dive on the Diva.
Well, a defensive triple tank for X6. Not necessarily doing too much work thus far, but can it work out? Timeboy grabs the first pick onto Bumper. Important kill. Mentioned the importance of Winston. However, it's only one pick.
I mean, it's actually very hard to get through even the first choke without a Reinhardt, which is what Runaway is short of. So with the Reinhardt advantage, I guess you would say, every hook is pretty deadly onto the side of Runaway.
Still trying to build ultimates here though. Cox just above 50% as Stitch gets in with the pulse bomb and picks up the kill on a no smite. There is going to be
that's your
sound
cowboy!
Barrier, and that's going to be it. Double kill with the Deadeye onto Runner and Stitch. And that nano boost was beautiful. The self-destruct comes out. Not going to find too much on the side of Runaway. But Godsby just saving the lives of X6 with that one.
Yeah, Huxal's job there with the Dragon Blade was to at least occupy the time of McCree, but preferably take him down. Huxal dying close to the start of the engagement meant that Godsby got the full electric cowboy. Double after a flicked kill means 3 kills in very quick time as Godsby's kept alive. Tracer can't quite take him down.
So close to another Deadeye here as well. Gets a headshot, but the sound barrier comes in just in time for Runaway.
That's like very defensive positioning though. Only 4 meters to push here for Runaway.
Yeah, Choyobin, he's going to lose his mech as well as X6 struggling. Stitch does claim the victory in the DPS battle off the back end, and that is going to be the pulse bomb sticking onto Bebe. So Runaway doing very, very nicely as they make their way to the first point. Payload's going to move up. That's going to be it.
Without a Reinhardt, pretty good timing here. And of course, having Winston on the second point means they can contest the high ground very easily. That time, Godsby just couldn't get the space he needed to be able to pick up the kills he was looking for, and the Diva was not on defensive duty around him, so the moment that the flashbang goes down, so often does the life of a McCree against Tracer.
And as that first point was reached, we've got an immediate switch up from X6, moving to that 2-2-2 composition. It's Godsby going down quite low. Bebe's going to be the first pick. As Primal Rage is going to take his life on the side of Runaway. Make that a double kill, in fact. This attack working brilliantly. Grabbing 3 kills at the start of this fight is so incredibly important because you can now have opportunity to stagger. Huxal grabs Choyobin, and that was close to a team wipe.
Yeah, Bumper having access to Primal Rage meant they could instantly contest the fairly static defense that was going to be on the high ground. And it's a static defense without, say, for example, Tac Visor, because Godsby was switching off the McCree. Runaway definitely had the ult bank to be able to take most of this Streets phase. They're going to start pushing in, and we'll see if X6 can actually farm up that Tac Visor, because they need it.
They do. Timeboy's going to grab the first kill. Cox is going to die to the Pulse Bomb. It's important. Beginning to this battle as X6 get at least the help of that sound barrier as well. Stitch having to run so far back as Runaway say, nope, we're not going to give you any more ult charge. We're just going to try and escape. Try this one more time. Godsby says, well, I'm going to have Tac Visor anyway, so don't worry about it.
That's the only ult available on the side of X6. Transcendence desperately needed to try and counter something like the Dragon Blade from Huxal.
Close to it.
Runaway just on a Stitch on a recon mission here, trying to get ideas about the positioning of X6.
Choyobin may have been caught out of position. He's actually surrounded as Godsby takes out Bumper first off. There's the Dragon Blade. We've got the sound barrier there as well to try and keep this Genji alive. Reflects a bunch of bullets in, and Godsby is going to be taken down by Huxal. Brilliant timing on that reflect to make sure that he can get that kill. It's a self-destruct kill onto Gilly as well from Runaway, who are going to be able to buy some more space and possibly get to this next point.
The coordinated dive from Runaway is harkening back to their Season 2 days. When they're firing, you know what's going to be on the dive comp. Godsby all on his own, couldn't do anything. This time, though, we see Bebe rush out with the transit. They want to get position on the car.
Yeah, well, Mirage is going to be demeched, so that is a lot of defensive options now removed. As Runner, oh my goodness, barely survives that one. Does eventually get taken down. Sorry, Gilly, taken down by Bumper.
Just 1-for-1s, though, so no big advancement either way. Nice trading here between the Traces. Cox goes down.
And Bumper's able to take down Bebe, though, as No Spite's also going to fall. X6 lose 3 as there's the self-destruct. Not able to pick up the kill. Runner, once again, going to fall down, but Huxal, he has another Dragon Blade, and he's looking for more. There is the reflect. He's taken down very, very low. Not looking like he's going to be able to get anything for that ultimate at all.
Yeah, no value from it, no utility available to try and help the Dragon Blade. It's a bad decision-making on Genji there, I would say, from Huxal, maybe from just a little bit of rust. He would have been balancing the Genji with other heroes given his newfound role in the team. There's another ult they don't have to bank on here. Now suddenly, very dry. The ult economy is empty here for Runaway.
Yeah, close to a sound barrier from Gilly, but otherwise it's just that Primal Rage available from No Smite.
The Runaway side is empty apart from his own ultimate here. The sound barrier now available for Honor. They don't have any time for eco pushes though. Runaway need to commit.
Yeah, should have double support ults coming up very soon as Cox at 95%, but the sound barrier is going to be the first one to come out. Runaway, bit of desperation now. We've got 20 seconds on the clock, and X6 are going to be the first one to lose a member. Bebe, the first to go down. Godsby getting hunted by Stitch as well, which is nicely done, and that's going to be Huxal, in fact, grabbing that kill onto him. Runaway should be able to get this tick over as No Smite grabs a kill, but it's only Cox falling down. Choyobin trying to buy some space with his mech's high health bar. Stitch gets his way through. Oh, gets one onto Huxal with self-destruct.
And once again, the Transcendence available for Bebe to contest, but will it be enough? Godsby has the tax visors, not using it yet.
Well,
they get the mech.
X6 have made their way back onto this point as well. I mean, Bebe getting in there, and Godsby going ballistic with the tac visor. That's going to be the hold, and X6 keep Runaway away from point 2.
And now they are big favorites to take it down twice. Count it, twice. The Transcendence on respawn. Would have used it if he had just got enough percentage. He was at 93% when he died. Would have been a very different type of fight. But the Winston buying so much time by No Smite allowed the Transcendence to pop out, be there to once again have the contest, and the ults lined up in just a different fashion than Runaway would have appreciated. The best case scenario, given that the kills were going towards Runaway at the start of the fight, and when they got that big dive against you, like, okay, it's just going to be Runaway cleaning up and full pushing. Twice thwarted by Bebe on this Transcendence, and now this is real. Now you're pinching yourself if you're a Runaway fan, because it's going to have to be some clutch play to get them back in the series.
They don't even need to make it to the power plant as well, which is one of the most difficult areas to attack.
Runner's focusing, but you can see on his face it's not all single-mindedness. It's not the elation that we saw from him so many times. The concern is starting to creep in because Runaway looking to once again make it to a grand final, go one better. They warned us against having those expectations, but you wanted to believe. Every time an amateur team comes close, you want to believe in them, but
well, that's exactly what's happening right now on the side of X6 as well, Papa Smithy. I mean, they're a team that, well, hyped a heck of a lot. Didn't look great at all against a Freak of Freaks, but no one has thus far.
I think they'll have the advantage of actually getting their games done. If they do qualify, they actually have a lot of time to watch other teams and actually scrim, because getting the games done early means they're, what, 2 weeks away probably from actually playing their next competitive match. So to me, there is a big advantage to wait and also investigate the new patch, because you have to imagine the next stage will be on the live patch, because of course we are still on the tournament realm and not on live right now.
So cute positioning from Godsby to make sure he scouts out the position of Runaway, but unable to get that first pick. Run back inside, see where he switches over. It is going to be the Soldier once again. Champion, the hero that was able to capitalize so effectively at the end. Dorado on defense. Now once again picked up as the triple support on defense for Runaway on an escort map.
And it allows you to push out pretty aggressively on defense, because you trust on the sightlines for the healers. You're not going to die if you overextend as far as they're going. Look at this. So much damage being pumped into the Winston, but a lot of heals means that Huxal just will not go down.
Yeah. I mean, No Smite is going to be able to take down the mech. They haven't actually got any noticeable picks just yet.
Now the other side of the coin is that X6 is picking up ult meter on their DPSs. You know, Godsby at 70%.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb's in there as well. Look at this Time Boy actually holding onto that so long. Bionic Grenade does go down. That's going to be the nano boost onto the Winston. And the mech is going to come back in. That's going to be the stick. Runner's going to fall down. Does manage to take a mech with him, but that is not quite enough.
All the threats are down, so there's just no damage to actually be able to contest it. It's just mop-up work by X6.
Yeah, they're going to continue to push this one through. This could be an extraordinarily quick first point.
Of all the maps to run the triple support, the big issue here is there's so many ways to get around that they got flanked, as supports can be.
It's going to be the Pulse Bomb taking out Godsby. He had the tac visor available as well, but Choyobin answers with a double kill on the self-destruct. Unfortunate positioning from Runaway, as now Stitch can't quite find the pick-off onto these supports. He's down to 0 health now. Sitting on 5 for a very long time as Time Boy. He's got a Pulse Bomb available as well. X6 looking beautiful as they push up to the first point.
And it's just such a risk to run triple support when there's so many different flank routes. We talked about in the pregame when you asked me you know, is this the right choice for Runaway? I was like, well, you can run fire on this map, you can dive with Tracer and Genji. There's so many attack routes that getting the first point is pretty straightforward. Usually when you run triple support, you want to have a hard defense, like for example, the Room on Route 66, but eventually one of the supports was taken down. It was definitely a pulse bomb being eaten.
It was a cute idea, though. I did like the idea, getting the recall for another go at the pulse bomb. As do have Transcendence being used, but it's going to be the kills coming out from X6. Bebe even charging up that ultimate once again as X6 on attack just looked clean as a whistle despite that pulse bomb being eaten.
Runaway are sticking with triple support, which I think you really have to modify when you're playing in such long terrain. You do not have backs to the wall in many scenarios here, so they're just getting caught. You know, Runner, Mirage, and Cox are very easily caught when they are not grouped, and when they're grouped, certainly there can be AoE taking them down. So, really not convinced by it. The choice here by Runaway. That's a Boostio too. That's not good.
No, but at least Runaway are able to grab some kills. That's 3 taken down on the side of X6, and maybe that was the mana play. You know, if you get beaten by a Boostio in a push forward, maybe that's going to tilt you.
Well,
don't think so on the side of X6. They're still looking good.
Finally, they ditch one of the supports. Mirage will jump onto Soldier. Not punished for the Boostio, but still a nano boost down for a future fight. X6, they've got Tac Visor. They also have the Sound Barrier, soon to be Primal Rage.
And Self-Destruct and Transcendence as Mirage is able to take down Godspeed.
At some point when you're saying ands, we're getting close to 5 to 6 ults, and there's still 2.5 minutes, so X6 get a single pick. You know it's going to be a hard commit as 6 ultimates are available.
Yep. And I like that you say are available because it's only 5% on Time
It's
Boy.
a Tracer.
Exactly. He just needs to put 3 bullets in someone and he's done.
Either she's leading with the pulse bomb or
That's gonna be the stick. Mirage taken down. Sound Barrier too late on the side of Runner. That is devastating. And that's going to be the double kill on the other side for Runaway. Stitch gets the double pick onto Cherubin and Godspeed. Could this turn around the fight? X6, they had a late Sound Barrier as well. And Stitch still firing from the back end. Huxall had switched over to the Winston, gets the Primal Rage.
Stitch is doing a lot of heroics in the back line.
Well, can he actually get some meaningful kills here as Mirage respawns? Grabs the kill into Gilly. The recall comes in from Stitch to get himself back. Timeboy answers with a kill into Huxall, but Bumper's there as well. Timeboy,
both Tracers just cutting through the sides, but no definitive advantage, although it looks to be inching towards X6.
Yep, Timeboy going to get healed back up as they get around this corner, looking to push this payload ever further forward.
Godspeed also has the Tac Visor to control some space. Every single pick is a dagger through the heart of Runaway fans.
Yeah, now Cherubin wants to build back up towards that mech. And Timeboy picks up one. Godspeed another. No Smite picks one up as well. They're trying to push this one forward. It's 3 meters until round of 8 for X6, and they do it! The newbies into Season 3 Apex. This is devastating.
There's elation for the side of X6.
Oh, absolutely.
The hype starts to finally pay some dividends now. Runaway working out their level and how much you should believe in X6 in the round of 8. That part is hard to gauge, but this was the minimum for them after their great run in Challenger. The Royal Road is still on. It looks pretty murky. It's not necessarily looking like the highest quality road, but it's still a road they can choose to travel. But when we do go over to the side of Runaway, the team that was 3-1 up over Lunatic High in a grand final, what, a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
A lot can change in Overwatch in a month and a half. As you can see their concern, Runaway will not be going through to the round of 8. Finishing the season with a 3-0 loss to Afrika Blue and now a 3-1 loss to X6 Gaming.
It is devastating, but on the other side of the coin, like you mentioned, Papa Smithy, X6 now have that opportunity to define themselves in Apex Season 3. There was so much hype. They're going to be seeing Lunatic High, the veterans of Apex, and then sort of the new guns in X6.
There does seem to be a pretty big gulf between Afrika Blue and the other teams in this group. It's why when you were saying, well, Runaway come in big favorites, X6 just got creamed by Afrika Blue, you forget that on the first day, Runaway got creamed by Afrika Blue, and you want to make excuses for Runaway because they did so well last season,
Yeah.
because their story is such a great one.
And circumstantially on that day as well, theoretically everyone was sick. I mean, Kaiser hadn't quite left the team
And
yet.
I get
Question
all-
mark, question mark, question
I
mark.
get all the excuses, but they 3-2'd Kongdu Onsia. That is not in any way a emphatic victory. So that was where I was given pause, where they couldn't 3-1 or 3-0. By far the worst team in the group. It was very hard to read X6 and their power level. I still feel like it is. It seems like the sort of team that definitely you'd want to choose if you were jumping into the next round. But the one thing you can say for them is they do have time to watch their opponents and also to perfect their own strategy. Because when Runaway tried something different like the triple support, it left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, it did. And look, X6 made a lot of adaptations in that series as well. I mean, they changed up their Temple of Anubis plan. It wasn't just let's head into the catacombs and see what happens with the same composition over and over again. It was utilizing things like this replay.
And that's kind of the story. The subtext of this season is the team that innovates, the team that swaps, the team that has a new plan when the first one goes wayward, which is so common when there's triple DPS, triple tank, triple support. There's so many different plans that the team that on the fly has the hero pools and also the understanding to adapt basically has won every time out, and that's the next level of Overwatch that everyone is aspiring towards.
Yeah, and I actually think that it's beautiful that you bring up the word plan as well, because it seems like teams that know what they want to execute and then execute that plan are the ones that make it work. It's not relying on having a key star player.
It's
unless you're in.
It's also not like, okay, we've scrimmed this